It was always cold in my bedroom at night, but one night I woke up to find my bed unnaturally warm. I sleep with my windows open all year round, no matter what the weather is. It's just how I like it, even if it's freezing cold outside. I love being able to hear the wind howling and the rain tapping against my window. I know it sounds stupid, but it's relaxing to me. My boyfriend, on the other hand, hates sleeping with the windows open. He likes a stuffy, dark room and a big, thick comforter on top of him when he sleeps. I prefer to use a light blanket that only covers the bottom half of my body because I get hot flashes when I sleep, and being totally tucked in makes me sweat. So our bed is usually a battlefield between us trying to find a compromise. Sometimes we put the windows open and he sleeps on the cold side of the bed with a bunch of blankets and pillows piled up against his side. Other times we close the windows and I overheat and wake up in the middle of the night covered in sweat. Well, last week I woke up in the middle of the night and I felt really cold. So I turned over to get more comfortable and my entire bed was freezing cold. Like ice cold. But then I realized that there was only one side of the bed that was cold. Half of the bed was as cold as could be, but Danny's side was literally radiating heat. At first I thought that maybe he was having a hot flash, and since he's a heavy sleeper, he didn't wake up when I turned the other way and sort of flopped onto his warm side. It took me a second to realize what was going on. I slowly peeled myself off of him and onto the cold side of the bed. Then I laid back down on my side and pulled my blanket back up over me. I tried to go back to sleep, but I kept getting distracted by how warm Danny's half of the bed was. It was almost like lying on a freshly tarmac, and even though my side of the bed was freezing, I could feel the warmth coming from Danny's side, seeping into my mattress, warming my sheets, warming my pillow. I kept tossing and turning, trying to get away from the heat, but the more I moved, the warmer my side of the bed got too. At this point, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to get out of bed to cool off. But as soon as I stood up, my eyes caught something weird. There was an indent in Danny's sheets where his head should have been. Sheets were also slightly discolored, and they looked wet. Now I know this might sound ridiculous, but it reminded me of those crime scene shows where they put a piece of paper under someone's head to collect their DNA. So I cautiously reached into the indentation in the sheets and ran my fingers across the discoloration. It felt damp, like it was wet, but not soaking wet. It was also a little sticky. As soon as my brain registered that what I was feeling wasn't a bodily fluid, my heart started racing. This can't be normal, I thought. Who weights the bed while they sleep? It certainly wasn't me. I didn't even remember Danny wetting the bed as a kid, and he's a grown-ass man. I shook my head trying to clear the weird thoughts out of my head and went back to lying down. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop thinking about the wet spot on the bed. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined myself laying on Danny's decomposing body. I tried listening to some music to drown out the noise, but I ended up spending the rest of the night on my phone reading Reddit posts on my couch instead. The next morning after, of course, not sleeping at all, I walked into the kitchen and found Danny asleep at the table. Apparently he fell asleep waiting for me to wake up, so he could ask me something. I don't remember asking him anything, but whatever. I asked him about his bedwetting incident, and he said that he has no idea what I'm talking about. I told him I didn't want to make a huge deal out of it, but I wanted to figure out what happened. He still insisted that he had no clue and said that I was probably just imagining things. I told him I was unimagining how wet and sticky my hand felt, or how cold his side of the bed was. He gave me a confused look and said, "You weren't cold last night, you were sweating." I told him I was freezing, and he said, "That's not possible. You're definitely sweating." And then I noticed that he wasn't wearing his wedding ring. Must have taken it off last night, because it was in his bedside drawer this morning. When I asked him about it, he said that he took it off last night because he was uncomfortable. And then he left the room before I could ask him why he would be uncomfortable wearing his wedding ring. After he left, I went to the bedroom and checked the sheets again. They were bone dry. Last night I could have sworn that they were wet. I guess I really was just imagining things. I threw the sheets in the washing machine and made myself comfortable on my couch to watch TV. When Danny came back into the room, he looked miserable. He apologized profusely for being an asshole this morning and told me that he would never take off his ring again. I believed him, and I accepted his apology. But now he wouldn't stop apologizing. It was starting to freak me out a bit. He said that he's sorry for being such a dick and not believing me, and that he should have been more supportive. He kept saying that he's so sorry, but he doesn't know what he's sorry for. He told me that he couldn't sleep last night, because he kept waking up and thinking that I was on the other side of the bed. And every time he opened his eyes, I was on my side of the bed with the covers pulled all the way up over my head. It was so strange, I knew he wasn't lying. I could tell by the genuine fear and sadness in his voice. I kept telling him that it was okay, that it wasn't a big deal, but he just kept apologizing. And then he said something that stopped me dead in my tracks. He said, "What if I did something wrong?" Started crying and I instantly panicked. "What do you mean, what if you did something wrong?" "I don't know, Danny. What if I did something wrong when I was little? Like, wet the bed. Did you ever wet the bed when you were a kid? Maybe you did and you blocked it out. Maybe you have a medical condition that causes you to wet the bed. Or maybe you re-going through something that you not telling me about and it's causing you to regress." Danny sat down on the edge of the bed, buried his face in his hands and cried. He told me that he never weights the bed. He said that he hasn't slept well lately, but he never weights the bed. That's when I noticed that he still wasn't wearing his ring. I asked him about it, and he said that he took it off because it's a symbol of everything he'll never have. He told me that he never loved me, and that he never wanted to marry me. He said that he was just trying to make the best out of a bad situation, and that he hated me for making him feel like he had to apologize. He kept saying that he never loved me, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. I knew he was lying. He was obviously still in love with me. When he finally met my eyes, I saw the pain and the sadness in them, and it broke my heart. I told him that I loved him, and that we could work through this. But he shook his head and told me to leave. So here I am sitting on my couch with 2 suitcases beside me, wondering if I should stay or go. The bed still feels warm, but I sleep alone.